Thank you so much again for coming. Good afternoon. No? So I'm Louis. I am a faculty at the Department of Art Studies here in the University of the Philippines. So for the students here, no, so the Department of Art Studies is the offering unit of Arts 1, which probably you're taking under Ma'am Aya right now. No? So this is the retrospective exhibition of artist Alfredo Leongoren. It's entitled Layers and Layers of the Self Peeled Through. So Alfredo Leongoren is one of the distinguished alumni of the College of Fine Arts, which is where we are standing in right now. No? But during that particular time, the College of Fine Arts was still at the Gonzales Hall, where the main library is in right now. He's distinguished because even before when he was still a student, no, he has been receiving certain acknowledgments already from different award-giving bodies and institutions. When he was a freshman here in the university, he was already awarded scholarships, no, from the Jose Hoya Memorial Foundation and the Purita Cala Ledesma Foundation as well. And then in addition, he was awarded the CCP 13 Artist Award, although not yet an award during that particular time. And then he also won several prizes, some of them first prize, in particular competitions during this time, such as in the Art Association of the Philippines and the Shell National Student Art Competition. So at the very onset pa lang, we can already see that there's a potential and promise in the practice of Sir Fred. And in this particular retrospective, we will be starting from there, now, during his student years, up until his more recent works. Okay? So the retrospective exhibition is also a homecoming exhibition because as I mentioned, no, exhibition is hosted in his alma mater, the College of Fine Arts. Hence, no, we dedicated one particular section that looks into the archival materials and the artworks and sketches that he had during that particular time. So we'll now move on to that particular section. Okay, welcome to the rudiment section. So this is that particular section that I mentioned wherein it looks into the student works of Alfredo Leongoren. Actually, the oldest material that we have now is right behind some of you guys here. No? So this is a 1961 sketch book or a compilation of sketches by Alfredo Leongoren. And as you may see, there is a video digitization, video of digital scans, no, of that particular sketchbook. He utilized Western and local references. And some of them, most probably, are the references that you can see outside. As you can see, no, there are several students there taking or doing live sketching based on a particular replica of a Western artwork, Western sculpture. No? So that particular activity, no, is something that has already been doing during that particular time when Sir Fred was a student here in the university. No? So that particular tradition of doing that activity continues up until now, which highlights, no, yung connection of Sir Fred with the institution itself. In this particular part of the exhibition, there are several sketches together with archival materials coming from that particular period when Sir Fred was still a student. No? This is a yearbook wherein Alfredo Leongoren was the art editor on. Okay. And then we also have several photographs of Sir Fred. You can come closer. No? Sir Fred, as part of a smaller group of college friends that are tapped, no, by their mentor, Jose Hoya, in creating large commissioned works in different contexts. For instance, this is a backdrop, no, of Swan Lake. So it's a theater piece, no, and then Jose Hoya, together with Leongoren and the other classmates of Leongoren, did the backdrop. And then this one is a newspaper feature of Leongoren and Jose Hoya, together with other colleagues, no, working on the big abstract painting at the PICC. Is there anyone here who has been to the PICC before? The Philippine International Convention Center. Not yet, no? Pero for those na merong board exams, no, usually, yung, tawag doon, yung ceremony upon passing the board exam actually usually happens in PICC. And usually, kumukuha sila ng photograph with that very large abstract mural. Okay? So that mural, during the time that it was created, okay, that was considered to be the largest abstract painting in the Philippines. I'm not sure if the record has already been taken by another work, no? Pero during that time, that was touted to be that. No? This is an image of Sir Fred. This is where Sir Fred is, Alfredo Leongoren, alongside his classmates in front of their the location of their college before. No? So I'm not sure if you've been here already because the building is under renovation, but this is the facade of the Gonzales Hall or the main library. Here in the sketches, dito sa sketches ni Sir Fred from the 1970s, makikita nyo yung general climate or milieu of being a student in the College of Fine Arts, specifically looking at this one. No, makita nyo how students are working in the sketch room, no, in a drawing room. While on the other hand, this particular sketch takes the scene of the side, no, of the Gonzales Hall, where again, the College of Fine Arts was. I find this particular set of sketches interesting given that they show certain foreshadowing of what you will see later, no, in the other sections. So specifically, for instance, in this sketch, this is actually the spot in the university where Sir Fred gathers with other members of a religious group or religious organization named the Navigators. No? So that is one constant group that Sir Fred was with during that particular time. And given that particular connection, no, we can probably see that certain semblances of that notion of religiosity and spirituality can be gleaned later on in his works, no, that we will be looking into later. What are the other things that you can see here? No? So Sir Fred in 1966 was actually named as an art Asian to watch, no, by the Asian magazine while still a student. No? So imagine the gravity of that, how impactful that would be, no, in his practice later on. Instead of him savoring that particular quick rise to fame, no, he actually found it difficult to negotiate with. No? He had to struggle with the pressures, no, of that particular rise to fame, which he dealt with later, as I will be explaining. So though these are materials that you can probably look into later more, they show, no, that Sir Fred has been part of the artistic ecology even while he was still a student. He received awards, he worked with actual commissions, and the like. Okay. This section, considering that it was labeled as rudiments, do not only look at the artistic beginnings of Sir Fred, no? But rather, we also wanted to play with the notion of rudiments in such a way that it looks at the rudimentary processes of art making, such as sketching, doing lines, and watercolor painting, or placing colors into your works. No? And that's the reason why we also looked into several of his sketches and watercolor paintings throughout the decades. So now let's move on to the next section of the exhibition. Okay, this section is actually the largest section among all of the sections. Okay, and it's entitled Distances. If you look into the archival materials on the practice of Sir Fred, if you look into how his practice has been written before, his instances of his episodes of retreats and episodes of seclusion that happened throughout his practice has been considered to be halts, no, or stops in his artistic practice. After winning or after being named as artist to watch kasi, because of that pressure that he had to face, his emotional and mental states became more turbulent. No? And that's the reason why he decided to not finish his fine arts degree yet and go to the province first, to his hometown in South Cotabato, where he can nurse his emotions and his mental state. Now, so that's something that's very relevant at present, no, most especially considering that we are more conscious now of these particular concepts of mental health, emotional health. So yung mga writers during that time, whenever Sir Fred goes back to the provinces, they often consider these as halts or stop in his practice kasi he really stopped creating artworks. However, what the exhibition wants to propose is that these particular instances of going back to the province, stopping or taking a break from creating artworks are actually productive, allowing him to actually explore other possible trajectories in his art practice. And this section looks into all of those trajectories that probably came from that experience of going away, going distant from a particular center, whether it be Manila, whether it be the city as Manila, whether it be the art scene here in Manila, and certain ideologies. This particular piece from the Ateneo Art Gallery is very significant considering that it is these works, the mixed media works that are very experimental. Okay, you can see unconventional materials there no, that you wouldn't really utilize in a painting during that particular time. No, you have burlap, you have sand, you have rugby, etc. Okay? And these particular explorations were actually the reasons why he was named Artist to Watch in the first place. And that particular set of works, hence, no, was the very first initiator, no, or trigger, no, for his bouts of seclusion and return to the provinces. No? Hence, it plays a very central role, no, in the section of distances. After returning from the first stay, no, in South Cotabato after being named Artist to Watch, no, these are the kinds of works that he created. You can see certain, they're all non-figurative, so they're very abstract. Then you are also seeing murkiness, no, in the works. Okay, they are also quite dark and appears to be looming, which are reflections of his mental and emotional states, together with his turbulent relationship with his family. So these are works that he created at the early 1970s when he returned to Manila. So 70, 71, 72. Okay? In 1971, he participated in a competition, the Art Association of the Philippines competition for that particular year. And in that year, he submitted this particular work currently at the Cultural Center of the Philippines collection. And he won first prize. That particular win is controversial because there has been several art critics who were questioning that decision by the panelists. No? Bakit siya yung nanalo doon? Okay? In that particular iteration of the competition, actually it is thematic. No? They were asked to interpret the history of Manila and the Philippines in general because that was the 400th anniversary of Manila as a city, as it was established. Okay? And hence, this is the interpretation of Sir Fred of that particular prompt. No? He created this set of works. They're actually 4 paintings on paper that he placed into a wooden board. According to him, no, his interpretation is that he was inspired by the esteros of Manila. Okay, esteros of Manila, you know that the esteros of Manila are quite dirty. Okay, they are polluted, no? Similar to the 4 centuries of Manila, given our colonial past. So this particular work was controversial because it was criticized. No? And it was criticized primarily because it was only created for several days. In contrast to the other competitors, no, in the competition who took several months, no, for them to create their works. Most especially yung second placer. Yun yung primary bone of contention. If you look into all of those newspaper clippings that criticize this particular work. Aside from the panelists probably romanticizing, yung self-exile of Leongoren prior to creating this particular work. However, there are other art critics who agrees, with the result of that competition, who defended Leongoren's work. So between March 7, if I'm not mistaken, up until the end of March, if you look at the newspapers about arts and culture, they only talk about, or most of them talk about, this particular work. It is important because for a time, it was able to stimulate art criticism in a very focused way. So now we're moving on to the next subsection of this section. These are works of Leongoren that are heavily inspired by indigenous or particular cultures from Mindanao. Starting with a painting of a mosque and a Torogan architecture. Okay, basically, these are the traditional architecture in the Maranao in Mindanao. Okay, and then it is a depiction, of a Muslim community or a Muslim landscape. And then here, these are sketches of particular creatures. You can come closer. That are heavily inspired by motifs that Sir Fred saw, from sculptural works by the Tiboli, or the indigenous people of Lake Cebu or South Cotabato. Kung makikita nyo, what's the similarities that you can see? So looking at the sculptural bamboo objects alongside the sketches.
Yun ang parang jagged na pattern.
Right. So that's one. So if you look at these lines, there are jagged motifs in the lines themselves. So in here, you can also see them. Some of them integrated onto the creature or the mukhang pabo. You can probably see fine lines, that outline certain specific body parts of these animals, which were also implemented in these particular sketches. Juxtaposing, placing these side by side, we can see that there are certain elements that he tried to pick up from indigenous cultures, into his works, which reached a particular level of maturity when his particular works or when his intention of bringing indigenous motifs come into fruition through these acrylic sand paintings at my back. So if you look at these three, okay, so these are heavily inspired by the motifs and colors that came from indigenous textiles from the Mindanao indigenous groups. If you look at the titles, they say homage to the Maranao tribe, homage to the Tiboli tribe, etc. So in 1977 kasi, and 1978, he received a study grant at the United Kingdom, where he studied at the Bayam Shaw School of Art. And that's where he got exposed to works that were created by foreigners, which he only saw in school when he was still a student. And being able to encounter these, he was able to realize that the abstract artists in the Philippines appear to be following a particular Western model, in terms of their creation of works. And he was questioning that, Bakit tayo sumusunod sa mga Western models in the creation of works? That particular instance led him to explore further on what he can actually consider as atin or as Filipino. And he looked into the cultures of the indigenous groups. And hence, these particular works are not only simple gestures of getting motifs or colors from these creative expressions, but rather these are results of a long-standing study on our own national culture or their indigenous cultures. This next set of works, as you can see, no, so there are certain similarities as well. No? So they have the presence, no, of ecological elements or plants, no? Flora, for instance, which is very obvious here, which can also be gleaned in the next two works. In here, the abstraction, no? But as you can see, there are also silhouettes of plants, no, that you can glean from the canvas or on the surface. These works were created in 1980, and during that particular time, in 1980, Alfredo Leongoren learned that our forest cover has been dwindling already. No? So parang because of deforestation, because of people cutting off these particular plants or trees, no? Hence, it reached to that particular level. And in this set of works, no, even if they are abstract, no, there appears to be an intent to call on to this particular kind of concern by integrating certain elements that we can relate to with nature, okay, such as flora. The next work is an interesting one. This one was created in 2007 and it's entitled Kasiguran. Okay. Are you familiar with Kasiguran? It's in Aurora province, no, in Region 2. No? And something happened in 2007 which made this particular work interesting. Okay? In 2007, the APECO law was signed by the government on the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperative Zone. No? So they are building a particular place, no? They are transforming a particular place in Kasiguran, in Aurora, so that it will become a place where a lot of industries can thrive. That particular economic zone is controversial given that in any place naman, when there's an economic zone that was placed there, no, it causes the displacement of the people who are actually living there. And during that time, the ones living there were the Dumagats, no, of Aurora. So they were building this economic zone in the ancestral domain of the Dumagats. And we know, no, kapag mayroong economic zone, no, there are not only nagkakaroon ng displacement, no, but also, no, yung ecological aspect of that area gets to be problematic as well. So they have to cut trees, industries produce pollution, etc. No? So even if the work itself is non-figurative, the fact that the term kasiguran was implicated in the title of the work and the year, and considering the year when this particular work was done, no, somehow, no, it kind of recalls that particular idea of the APECO law as well, even if the APECO is not even visible in this particular work. Aside from these things, these works that you saw a while ago, no, he continued on creating works that centers on the concept of the environment, most especially gleaned in a well-positioned way, no, in the 2010s work of Leongoren entitled Kalmot Kalikasan or Kalmot ng Kalikasan. So in these works, what you can see as the common denominator probably would be yung notion of scratches, no, which is very evident in the title of the series, Kalmot Kalikasan, no, which was implemented in a very visceral way. No? You can see how the scratching, you can probably glean the way he scratched, no, those works, no, so that you can feel that energy that was released by the artist as he was creating the work. No? And Kalmot ng Kalikasan probably can be interpreted that our nature, no, is actually resisting something. Or probably nature is feeling some form of pain. Or nature is feeling revengeful as well. No? That's possible. No? That it's possible to interpret it that way. No? So this particular work continues that inclination for Leongoren to talk about ecological and environmental issues surrounding him through his works. Now, moving on to the next subsection, pansin nyo ba how different the works are from the previous ones? Sige, come closer. All right, so this is a set of black and white paintings by the artist. No? So some of them are part of a series he called Cascade series. Okay, specifically this particular work. No? The Cascade series is inspired by flowing water. No? Naaninag nyo ba yung concept of flowing water here? In what way? Yung strokes, no? Kung mapapansin nyo dito, very flowing yung strokes, no? And there is that notion of waves also. According to the artist, no, he felt that during that time, no, in 1992, no, that he was being blessed well by the divine or by God, that he utilized the notion of cascading waters or cascading bounty from heaven down to earth, no, down to him, no, as a metaphor to capture that particular experience of receiving blessings and the gratitude that he felt for the divine. Okay? So that notion or that utilization of black and white will consistently be seen, no, in his works, no, even in some of his works in the Character in Black series that you can see here and later on here. When art critics or even viewers, no, of artworks during that time looked at his works, no, they oftentimes related the works of Alfredo Llongoren in this series as relatable to Zen. Have you heard of the term Zen before? Zen, like Zen as in meditation, Zen, minimalism, etc. No? Which is very sensible. No? Makita nyo dito, very minimal lang talaga yung hues that were used. No? He only used neutrals, no? White and black. Then in addition, no, the notion of strokes somehow relates it with Japanese or Chinese characters, no? When you look at calligraphy, no? However, no, when Llongoren heard of this, no, he actually said na what he was intending to do was the opposite, no? Instead of Zen, which actually emphasizes or idealizes emptiness, okay, so that you can think outside of yourself, no, or be meditative, no, or to meditate, no? He was actually aiming for being filled, okay, by the very gesture or by the very story or narrative that he was talking about in the Cascade series. He was empty, but he wanted to be filled. By what? Probably the bounty of the Lord, no? The bounty of Jesus Christ. So in these works, very clear, no, for him, no, that this is an expression of his relationship with the divine, of his spirituality, of his religiosity. This work that you can see here, no, this is an interventional work created by the children, no, of Alfredo Llongoren. What they did was to create or pull out, no, motifs coming from the black and white series of Llongoren and made them into sculptures. Okay, so ngayon nagkaroon na siya ng three-dimensional quality, sculptural quality, and you can actually engage with it as well. No? Some people would sit on it, etc. Okay, so making this particular series of Llongoren much more alive, no, by reinterpreting it again, reinterpreting it. And then another curious thing that probably you've noticed would be the chair. No, so that was an activity that was done by artists with the Ayala Museum. The Ayala Museum gave these artists a chair, and they had to interpret or paint on it or recreate that particular chair by deploying their style onto that object. No? During that time, in 1991, no, he was into this particular set of works. No? And that's the reason why black and white was utilized and that particular minimalist tendency was deployed there as well. Okay? Now let's moving on to the next subsection, which serves as a continuation of that dialogue about spirituality. No? But instead of looking at abstract works, we are looking at works with figures in them. No? Sir Fred is known to shuttle between abstraction and figuration, which will be made more obvious later in the other section. Okay? What do you see here? That probably you can relate with the notion of spirituality or religion. Anyone? Yes. Okay, yung crowns of thorns, no? So that's very visible here, and it's also visible here. Okay, and what do crowns of thorn usually mean? If you look into the biblical context of crown of thorns, saan ba yung crown of thorns sa biblical narratives? Saan sa New Testament? Ano nangyari sa crown of thorns? Naku, sinong nagsuot ng crown of thorns? Si Jesus, di ba? And what does it represent? Sacrifice or suffering as well, no? That notion of pain, okay? Kasi that emphasizes on his resolve to save the world, no? To save us, no? The faithful, no? So in here, no? So Alfredo Leongoren in the series aptly titled Coronang Tinik, no? The series is entitled Coronang Tinik. No? We can see figures of different people, usually in disadvantaged conditions, no, placed alongside with a receptacle and the coronang tinik, probably looking into, no, the notion of suffering that they were experiencing as members of the society. So this kid is holding, no, a plastic bag, and then it says there, bigas ng bayan, handog sa kahirapan, and then you can see how small the plastic is, and that's supposed to hold his sustenance for how many days, etc. No? So makita mo yung notion of poverty in his works. And then that concept of religiosity or spirituality can also be seen in this work. No? So there is a revolutionario, but not a regular revolutionario, because if you look at the logo at the cap, there is an image of a cross there. You know? So in the Philippines kasi, if you're quite keen with history, no, revolutionary movements, there is a religious angle in that as well. No? So merong mga groups that wanted to revolutionize the Philippines, and what brings them or what gathered them together was a common faith that they had during that time. Okay, so this is a revolutionary. Okay, this particular imagery of a revolutionary is something that he wanted to explore further through performance and film. No, he actually created several years ago. No, he created a big puppet, no, of a pig. Okay, that symbolizes the ganid or the corrupt officials in the country. Okay, and that particular pig will be defeated by a smaller revolutionary who will be fighting against the pig. No? So that particular narrative is evocative, no, of the story of David and Goliath, no, a small fighter versus a big, a giant individual, no? And that in that particular story, no, it is Leongoren who will be playing that role of a revolutionary, or David. in that particular case. I already mentioned that Leongoren was also into performance. This television, this set, no, actually shows photographs of his previous performance works. No? And these performance works are always in response to a particular event during that time. One of the set of photographs is a performance during the anniversary of the Declaration of Martial Law, which we commemorated a few days ago, okay, in the 21st. And then the other set of photographs, such as this one, is a revolt, no, a protest work in 2009 when the president illegitimately added names into the national artists role. Okay, so bawal kasi yun, no? There is a particular process that you have to follow so that we can pwede nating mahirang na national artist yung isang particular artist. And the president during that time, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, no, subverted that process and inserted names. No? So Alfredo Leongoren, together with different members of the culture and art sector, they congregated in front of the cultural agency, the NCCA, and did a revolt move. He did a revolt performance. Okay, at the center of this entire subsection, we can see archival materials as well. Okay, so these are archival materials from the Red Gallery that was put up in 1971 up until 1972, the year when the martial law was declared. No? So William Goren, together with his friends from the College of Fine Arts, no, they ran this particular space wherein they can put in exhibitions more freely compared to commercial art galleries that were open during that time. Okay, given that the rent was for free, okay, they were sponsored by a particular person, no? They don't really have to worry about ROIs, no, or return on investments, and they are able to explore their art making more, or what particular exhibitions that they can put up in this particular space. One of the works that Leongoren exhibited in that space is this one. Okay, it's entitled Night Watch. No? So it's only printed in an archival material. No, we weren't able to find where the actual painting is. It's entitled Night Watch. Ano yung nakikita nyo dun sa work? No? During that time, Alfredo Leongoren was really into abstraction. No? He creates works like this, like the one that you've seen a while ago. No? But in this instance, he created something with more discernible figures in the surface. What do you see? Okay, gas masks. So there are people in gas masks. What else? Okay, for those who are standing here, no, probably you'd be able to see them better. May rifle, no? So if you look at the title of the work, no, alongside the things that you can see in the painting, probably you might think of the police or the military, given that they are the ones who are watching over during the night, etc. So during that time, so there was already that lingering or a strong getting the power of the police and the military was already going stronger and stronger prior, the actual declaration of martial law. And that's something that he wanted to discuss in this particular work. They have some degree of freedom, in the Red Gallery, in comparison to other galleries we're in. They are somehow controlled by particular economic powers. Okay, so this is the distances section. Okay, it looks into the different trajectories that the practice of Leongoren, the different trajectories that were taken by the practice of Alfredo Leongoren. Okay, that probably comes from his experience of retreating, okay, or going away from the center. Okay, now let's move on to the next gallery space. So welcome to the third section of the exhibit. It's entitled Scapes. In the exhibition, we wanted it not only to talk about the practice of Leonggoren as if we are valorizing him as a great artist. We also wanted to see how his practice contributes to art historical discourses. In this section, we placed in front of each other landscapes that are more figurative and landscapes that are more abstract. Not really to look into them being very different things, no? Kasi in art history, makikita nyo na very binary, no, yung pagtingin sa figuration and abstraction because of the way they look, no? Sobrang different naman kasi talaga, no, ng abstract and ng figurative. But what we wanted to cultivate, no, in this particular section is the possibility of convergences between figurative works and abstract works, which we find Alfredo Leonggoren's practice to be very productive to look into. Kasi he really shuffled between abstraction and figuration throughout the decades. Okay? While focusing on a single kind of subject matter, and that is scapes or landscapes. No? So if you look into these works, no, certain kind of fluidity that are very obvious in his abstract works can also be gleaned in his figurative works. No? And alongside that fluidity of strokes, no, if you look into the composition as well, so in the landscapes, you have your foreground, you have your background that are often delineated by an idea of a horizon. If you look at the abstract works, they were created with single or two strokes, etc. But you can see that there are certain distinctions between different parts. You have your foreground, you have some form of background there as well. So we're trying to play into what are the possible similarities that we can look into so that we can trouble, no, that very strong notion na iba yung abstract from figurative. This particular section is punctuated by another interventional piece by the children of Leonggoren. Okay, so this is an reinterpretation of his landscapes by employing projections onto particular curtains. No? So they wanted to give an idea or a more immersive experience of the landscapes that were created by Leonggoren by allowing people to even look through or go around the curtains or even go through the curtains themselves. Okay? Ako personally, while looking at this part of the exhibition, given the sounds, no, the audio that they also included in the installation, it reminds me of being in the seaside, no, at the beach, no, that you are inside the house and then you are looking from a window and then you can see a view of the landscape behind the window. The children wanted to really re-engage with the works of their father, and hence they created pieces such as this. Okay, probably later you can interact more with it. Now let's move on to the last section. The section that probably we can consider as the more summative one. No? The title of the section is Layers. And it really speaks much about the entire exhibition, which is entitled Layers and Layers of the Self Peeled Through. Probably you have been asking, no, of all titles, no, why choose this title? Why choose a very long title? No? Actually, this title that we have selected was taken from the artist himself. In 1990, in an interview with art critic Sid Reyes, no, he was asked by the interviewer, no, about his previous exhibits and works. No? He was asked, paano mo titingnan itong mga dati mong exhibits and works? No? How will you retrospectively look at them? No? And he poetically said, I consider them layers and layers of myself that I had to peel through. Okay? So that's a very poetic metaphor. The notion of layers and layers. In conventional or day-to-day parlance ba, or day-to-day experiences, where do you encounter layers and layers? Okay, for onions, no? If you look at the composition of an onion, there are multiple layers there. A cabbage, probably, no? Or even in sangyupsal, no? Sangyupsal, no? Yung lettuce, no? Diba? Multiple layers, and then you had to peel through. Yung Goren's idea was, each of these works, because paiba-iba nga, no? Each of these works are one facet of his entirety. But each of these layers, they can be different from each other. They can have smaller differences from each other. Some may be a little similar with another. No one layer can actually explain his entirety. And that's the reason why this retrospective, we find it as a gesture of wanting to know Sir Fred more, because he wanted to gather all of these different layers of his artistry, all of these layers of narratives, okay, coming from different materials and resources and stories, like from yesterday, you know, to make probably a sufficient picture of this particular artist, of Alfredo Llongoren. Not only as an artist, but also as a person. It took several samples of works, no, coming from different parts of his practice. And upon looking at all of these works, okay, we noticed that his abstraction, for instance, instead of being just exploration of form or self-expression, we saw that his abstractions are more relational in the end. They talk about spiritual relations. They talk about relationship with other cultures. It talks about relationship with nature. It talks about relationship with society in general. Hence, no, in the practice of Alfredo Llongoren, if you place all of these layers and layers all together, now we see abstraction not only as something that is there for aesthetics, no, but them as expression of how he is as a person related with different other things surrounding him. So this is a self-portrait by Sir Fred, which he did in 1985. No, so that was the time that he was really very active, no, in the art scene, no, having been able to graduate from the University of the Philippines in the mid-70s. No? Okay, so this is an image of him, okay, just so you have a mental picture of how he looked like, no, in the 1980s. Okay, now moving on to the next part. So this is a set of works from the Panaghoy series. Okay, taking off from our discussion a while ago in the larger space, no. So these were his expressions of his experience as he was nursing his mental and emotional states, no. So dito makita nyo talaga that abstraction is self-expression, no. This is how murky my emotions and my relationship with my father was, no, during that particular time, no. And he expressed them through these very gestural strokes. So you can see here in this one, you can also see it in this one, and then here as well, no. But he mentioned also that these particular works are not only expressions of himself, no, in that particular point in his time. Actually, he sees it as a lamentation, okay, not only of his particular condition, but rather a lamentation of society as well. No? When he looked back into these works in one of the commemoration of the martial law period, no, he also articulated that, no, that these particular works also look into him lamenting about what is happening in the country. During that time that he was nursing his mental and emotional states, according to him, no, religion was a strong support system for him. No, religion was a strong support system to him. In the next set of works, which we can see here, that notion of spirituality is also displayed in a poetic way as well. Okay? This work was part of the Cascade series, an expression of his gratitude to the divine, no, to God, no, about his relationship with him or her, no. Alongside this work, no, we decided to place them alongside these two more figurative works, no. What similarities can you glean, no, from this work, which is very abstract, black and white, no, in comparison to the other works, which are colored, more figurative compared to this one? Right? The ray of that vertical thing, whether it be a stroke or whether it be a ray of sunlight. No? In popular culture, no, what does ray of sunlight coming from a very gloomy atmosphere mean usually? A blessing, yes. No? So out of this particular condition, very rainy, okay, very gloomy, no, what would penetrate would be some form of blessing from above. No? So that notion of something, a bounty that comes from above, which is received by the people at the bottom, no? So that's something that's very evident in these two works, no? Which are the reasons why he was very grateful for that relationship that he had with God. This work, aside from it being in a seascape, no? Aside from it being a seascape, no? The primary subject matter here are the boats. The group that I mentioned a while ago, the navigators, they see themselves as boats, no, in the ocean, and they are guided by the light that is coming from the Lord. No? So if you juxtapose all of these works, no, we can see a very potent message, no, that his works, no, are very spiritual as well, or his works are grounded on some form of religiosity or spirituality as well. As I mentioned, no, these are sampling of his works, no? So we can also see abstract works that pertain or that draws from indigenous cultures. And we also can see abstract works that also looks into topics that related with the environment. So hence, no, emphasizing that notion of abstraction, not only as something that you do to explore form or to express yourself, no, but also seeing that you yourself is related with different entities surrounding you. I would want to end the tour with another self-portrait. Okay, this is a very different self-portrait compared to the one that we saw a while ago when we entered the room. You can see the artist, he is holding things, right? What are these things that he is holding here? Okay, puso ng saging, no? Napaka-random, no, as it seems, no? Puso ng saging. And what else? Okay, there's this triangular thing, and it has text which says, sa pamamagitan nito, ipapakita ko ang pagkakamali ng aking bayan. Okay? We see this particular fruit, no, ang puso ng saging, as something that is metaphorical in relation to the theme, the overall thematic of the exhibition. If you have experienced handling a puso ng saging, no, similar with your bananas or similar with your cabbage, no, so you also peel off, no, the layers of this pink skin of the puso ng saging, which will reveal the thing that you can actually eat from the puso ng saging, which is the yellow buds, no, that comes off from that particular fruit, no? So similarly, no, yung gesture of putting in this retrospective exhibition alongside experiencing it as a visitor, no, is that gesture of peeling through all of these layers so that we can reveal the interiority or the personhood of this artist. And according to him, no, itong triangle na to parang mukha siyang Moses, 'di ba? Si Moses, he was holding the Ten Commandments, right? And for him, the commandment is this, no? Sa pamagitan nito, by looking into your interiority, no, you would be able to see what is wrong in society. And that is a very Christian way of looking at the issues surrounding him. Okay? You look into yourself, you fix your character, no, so that you can contribute to society. Probably this notion of spirituality is the thread that connects a lot of his works. No? Even if each of these layers are different from each other, no, probably the single thread that can be said to be similar among all of these layers would be that notion of spirituality. Okay? Thank you for listening to this very long, no, tour. No? Ang haba pala niya. No? Any questions about the artist, about any of the works that you want to bring up or raise? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious because I didn't bring up so much about the Lauren Gallery and about his partnership with his wife.
Okay. Actually, I missed.
There was a little bit of a void.
Okay.
Yun lang.
I missed mentioning po pala that in the homage to the indigenous groups series, no, those works were actually exhibited in the 1990s alongside Ma'am Norma's photographs of Blaan, people who are protesting against a particular issue that they were encountering. No? So in that particular instance, no, so we can see how the relationship of Sir Fred and Ma'am Norma, given that they are husbands and wife, no, also informs the practice of Sir Fred, given that that participation in that exhibition adds another layer of meaning into the indigenous the canvases that he created based on indigenous groups. So hindi na lang siya knowing more about one's national identity through indigenous cultures, but also it looks into the plight, no, of these indigenous groups as well, which is an advocacy of Ma'am Norma, which resonates well with Sir Fred. No? And this exhibit po was put up in the Leongoren Gallery, which is known to be a space that allows for these discourses to happen and to be talked about. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. So parang may just occurred to me.
Mm.
Pero yeah, I think for me, okay din yung performance art. Like what was the period where you did most of his performance? The 90s?
Based on our research, he started in the 1990s. Okay, but primarily the 2000s po yung mas documented ones. So yun pong mga nandito po kasi 2003 and 2009 po. And then hindi lang po well documented, no, but even in the recent years po, no, he always planned out doing something such as, for instance, a film project, no, with certain props, no, but I think that particular project did not really come into fruition. Pero he always has these ideas.
So it's very chaotic. Parang may
Opo, actually, if you get to talk to him, no, in person, even in our public programs, no, he loves reenacting certain scenes, no. So I think that's a very that's his nature as a person. So thank you so much for joining us, no. If you have friends who might be interested in the exhibition, no, they still have until tomorrow, which is the last day of the exhibit. Thank you. Thank you.